Like, Orange County Transportation Council Planning Committee meeting to order. We'll start off first with the in-person roll call. Alan Sorensen, Orange County Planning.
Stacy Butler, Planning. Denise Quinn, Town of Williams.
Jacob Toledo, City of Middletown. I say for the his job.
Allie Fairley, New York State Department of Education. Also New York State Department of Education.
Jason Morris, City of Newburgh. John Ravella, Village Walden.
We'll start with you.
Bert Thielander, Vision Hudson Valley Pathways Committee.
Rob Barrington, Orange County Planning Department.
Travis Seawald, Orange County Parks.
Sean Arnett, Orange County DPW.
Mike Torelli, Orange County Executive's Office.
Raina Wheel, Orange County Planning Department.
Hannah Gorton, Orange County Planning Department.
Good. Brandon, if you'll continue with the online participant roll call, please.
Absolutely. Online, we have joining us Sandra Johnson, David Lake, Mike Amabile, Ryan McGuire, Steve Bedetti, Stephen Hunter, and anyone whose name I did not state or call out, please feel free to leave your name and affiliation in our chat. Thank you so much. And please bear with us while we figure out the audio settings. Thank you for that, Sandra, as well. And that concludes our online participants.
Brandon, thank you. We're going to continue now with the call for citizen participation. Do we have any members of the public who wish to provide comment?
Bert Thielander, Pathways Committee. I want to continue to thank you for supporting non-motorized transportation trail development work in Orange County, support of the Heritage Trail, the Shenandoah Trail, the Heritage Trail Stage. We really appreciate that. We also we looked at the UFWP 2627 plan, made comments online, but I wanted to add some of those comments verbally. One thing that was talked about was the connector trail feasibility study. I haven't heard about that. We haven't heard about that. We'd like to learn more about that. And then we wanted to seek support for the potential Heritage Trail extension beyond the Grassy Road into Howells, into Lowersville, perhaps into Cutterback Hill. I talked with some people about that. And then we wanted to suggest in the 2627 plan, there's a section in there about non-motorized transportation. There's a little word in there about who you're collaborating with. We'd like to ask that we include pathways, because we've been active with you, and we look forward to doing that with you in the future. Which would be the Hudson Parks planning. So we really appreciate that opportunity. I think it might be useful to take time to do that. Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you. Any other members of the public, either present or online, that would like to speak? We'll move right along. Item 4, approval of the meeting minutes of our January 22nd. All members in favor, signal by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Communications and announcements. We have updated OCTC for the members list. This was actually included in the error. That's in the last meeting, so we apologize for that. With respect to Transportation Alternatives Program, New York State DOT is accepting applications for the Transportation Alternatives Program in March 7th, March 12th, excuse me, 2026. This program guidance, the workshop still is which they find what the DOT business. So, I am aware that the county will be pursuing an application, it's a great program, for every 2 years. So we just want to make sure we're reminding members that the kind of opportunity is great. We'll be submitting an application for acquisition of GEY at Pink Gloria, part of the railroad bed that lies in between the Heritage Trails. So, the opportunity. For seeking, 5.8 competitive, so, you know. Yes, meeting with everyone else in the region, thank you, so, but I think we have, yeah. There is critical funding resource and guidance, which is private, they're listed. Stacey, anything you want to add? So, it's just there for you. And when we read on that to reports and actions on whole business. We do have the our new senior planner joining the department as a fiscal fair. We started on Monday, March 6th. It's originally Cornwall has been working with the city of Flagstaff, Arizona, transportation and transit planning. I did not work directly for him, but we did coordinate with being able to stay out for that area on the transportation. And you'll get to meet Chris at our people. So we'll be working directly with Stacy, all the OCTC, and so it's certainly we're very excited to have you.
I'm sorry, you guys. And I'm not the only one commenting on this. It's in the chat. We're having a really hard time understanding you. It's extremely muffled. Sorry.
Okay. Brenda, where is the microphone?
Apologies for that, Sandra. The microphone is between the laptop and this camera device right now. So we need to project our voices this way.
Thank you, guys. Sorry.
No, thank you,
I'll be
Sandra.
off camera, but at least you'll be able to. Sandra, can you hear this better?
Oh my gosh, it's perfect. It's like night and day. Thank you.
Okay. It's probably easier for me as well. And Stacy, when it's your turn, I'll ask you to come up and do the same. The Unified Planning Work Program received extensive public comments, which will be discussed later. And OCTC staff spent a great deal of time drafting summaries. Actually, that was Stacy. Thank you. And we'll continue, that continues to be in there for UPW projects. 2026 air quality conformity, NIMTIP locked in assumptions on February 20th. And OCTC staff will advise if we need to adjust at our April and June meetings to meet our public comment and adoption timeframes. And we are making some progress on our transportation planning on-call RFP. Again, I really want to thank Stacy for getting that all together. Law department staff has advised that they hope to have a review completed by today. And once county law and DGS have reviewed the draft, it'll be reviewed by New York State DOT prior to publication. So we are getting closer. What that will enable us to do is really to get some of our backlogged UPW projects moving forward, such as the Route 6, Route 17M transportation corridor plan. Do any members wish to provide project updates to the planning committee? Sean?
Yeah, if I could, we have the Farmingdale Bridge on County Road 51 for 2026. We're working through some of the right-of-way acquisition. which has been a little bit of a hurdle. So we're afraid it might not be let, it'll be let in 2026, but probably not starting or beginning construction for 2027.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yeah, there will be some administrative time and probably expended in 2026, but the bulk of the construction dollars will likely be spent in 27.
In 27,
Right.
okay. I'm just, Sandra, can you, as the participants speak, are you able to hear them okay, or?
Yeah, no, I can hear. I had another call, but which project was that? They was just talking about, but I could hear them. Yeah.
It's a Farmingdale Bridge.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Sandra, that's also called the Holstown Road over Cromline Creek project.
All right. Thank you. Do you need any help from us here in local programs, or you're good?
No, at this point, we're waiting on some right-of-way acquisition paperwork and, easement acquisition. So at this point, no, thank you.
Okay.
We're gonna move on to old business. I'm gonna ask Stacy Butler to come up and review that.
The controls.
Okay. OCTC received 11 public comments on the UPWP. We had 10 before the due date and one just after. They're summarized in Appendix A. And we also have the responses, obviously, to the comments in that same appendix. Several of the comments were quite lengthy. None of them really proposed specific changes to the UPWP, but they advocated for various transportation and transit related issues. Many advocated for restoration and expansion of the ferry service and the need to develop passenger rail on the west side of the Hudson, with some noting the all aboard Hudson Valley's plan. And several felt that the ferry was set up to fail as the hours and days of service did not align with ridership needs. One of the commenters asked whether the UPWP aligned with the New York's Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act and the ADA. And that commenter also felt that the county was a transit desert. Several comments noted that the lack of availability of transit, whether just the existence of transit services or the routes of existing services or the timing of existing services for the ferry bus and passenger rail were a problem. The cost of services was brought up in a couple comments, and a few mentioned that 30% of Newburgh's population does not own a vehicle. I don't have a site for that statistic, but it was mentioned in a few comments. A couple comments suggested right-sizing Broadway and Newburgh or adding traffic islands there. And one of those comments advocated for better connectivity to Stewart Airport from Broadway and doing a corridor study there to prioritize multimodal options downtown, as well as advancement of a proposed Route 9W connector and bike share project to better connect Newburgh and Beacon. And then we had a commenter for independent living that provided explanations and examples for the critical need to integrate accessibility review and solutions throughout the transportation planning and construction processes. And they emphasize that non-motorized infrastructure isn't just recreational for individuals with disabilities and older adults. It's how they reach their medical appointments, pharmacies, grocery stores, etc. And some examples of the strategies in that comment included ensuring continuously accessible routes to and from transit, including data on mobility device users when we're doing safety planning analyses, ensuring safe crossings with appropriate signals and timing, accessible parking at trailheads, and considering wheelchair users, paratransit riders, and individuals who cannot drive in terms of procedures and policies for snow removal, stormwater mitigation, and climate response strategies. That commenter also urged continued funding and hopefully to prioritize implementation of the ADA transition plan. And let's see, oh, I think one of the replies to that comment, if the members have a chance to look at that and read the responses, it may actually be a good topic for a presentation at a future planning committee meeting. Or possibly to all of the MPOs in the TMA, because there's similar councils in each planning area. So that's something we've been talking about. Did anyone have any questions, concerns on UPWP otherwise? So it'll be up for adoption in the policy meeting immediately following. Okay. The next update, or the next item in the agenda, is an update on the 2025 functional classification change requests. NISDOT did a preliminary review and they asked for a few additional materials and information. They asked for status on a couple construction projects, a GIS file, traffic count data, and the status of the concurring resolutions. The villages of Curious Joel already submitted their resolution, and Town of Woodbury, Village of Woodbury, Town of Monroe, and County of Orange all have own roads involved in the change request in whole and or in part. And we sent out an explanation and packets and links to all the change requests to each of those municipalities in November. But I think because of elections and holidays and whatnot, we haven't heard back. So I sent out individual customized emails to each of those municipalities. So hopefully we'll hear back. I did hear from DPW or highway staff from Town of Monroe and Village of Woodbury, but we haven't heard ETA on any proposed resolutions yet at all. And Curious Joel provided the GIS file, so I forwarded that to NISDOT, and also information on one of the construction projects. And we still need to confirm whether they can supply the traffic counts. If those had been done, I don't know. And if not, that's something we can probably arrange to have NISDOT offered to perform. So I don't know. We don't have to answer that right now, but that's something else we still need to confirm to be able to move forward. Any questions, concerns on those? The next item on the agenda was the review of the proposed draft TIP project selection framework. This was included in the January packets, and the same draft was enclosed with the February packets. I don't know if folks have had the time to review it. And we can just continue the discussion on whether you'd like to move forward or not, if it needs additional revisions.
I have some questions about it.
Sure.
I mean, like the second paragraph, the purpose. You're saying part of your task is to complete evaluation of your project to make sure it comes on time and on budget.
Mhm.
I think this is very heavy burden to put on you and your community, I think. To make sure to make the assurances or the assessment that this project at the very preliminary stage will be able to meet the time of completion and on budget. It's a very heavy burden to meet. So my suggestion would be to cross that paragraph out, not the whole paragraph, just that commitment or evaluation for time and budget out. That's my suggestion. If everybody else likes it, then we can leave it, but that's my suggestion. Very heavy burden for you guys to leave. And also, suppose another comment is, if the committee or the staff say that they discounted or they pushed, they said this project is not really suitable or something like that, what options does the project sponsor have to come and appeal or present it before the Transportation Council or the Planning Committee? Is there an option for them? Suppose you guys, not you in person, future people come in, future Orange County staff, they come in and say, well, okay, this project is not really good for whatever reason, we like the other project. What does the project sponsor have as an option to appeal?
It's probably not gonna be like that formal of a process. The preliminary review was the intent to have staff use that little like scoring rubric to kind of see how it matched up with LRTP goals and just some basic things. And then all those projects would be presented with that evaluation to either a TIP subcommittee or the full planning committee, depending on how you guys want to work that. So yeah, we wouldn't necessarily be holding back any projects.
So all projects will be presented then,
Mhm.
all projects, okay, we'll suggest a scoring and then it will be for discussion.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. Because I don't want to be in a situation where we get paralyzed, not able to do anything, because we have to move with consensus here. So if one guy says, or one person says, okay, my project was not even considered, I'm gonna vote no for everything, and then we are paralyzed, basically. No. But I'm just thinking ahead so that we have the comprehensive rules we can live with, and will not paralyze the community. Very good, thank you.
Anyone else have any comments, thoughts, objections? How do folks feel about changing that definition? Well, sort of a definition of feasible with likely to be completed on time and on budget. If you want that to stay, be removed.
I think this is Sandra, State DOT, just seeing what's going on, kind of statewide with a lot of our projects. I think if there's going to be flexibility there on commitment to the budget and the schedule, then I think the applicant needs to be clear that they will make up the difference. Or I think too often there's too many partially funded projects. People are submitting projects for consideration and not asking for enough money. And then, 2 years later, a lot of the MPOs are struggling with projects that are 90% complete, but they don't have enough money to get to construction. I know it's a balance, but I think you got to think that one through very carefully.
Sandra, I think this is addressed somewhere else within the procedures. Basically, they're saying if you are over budget, then the municipality will have to cover the balance or the deficit. That's addressed somewhere else. What you're talking about. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I mean, that language is automatically then put into the state local agreement, but I don't think you want to, I think we really have to have an emphasis on getting good estimates early when making project selections.
No, that's fine, Sandra, this is fine, yes. I agree with you, but you're putting the burden on the selection committee from Orange County Transportation Council employees to make that judgment that the project is going to be completed on time and on budget.
Where's the exact language? Can you pull it up?
Second paragraph on the purpose.
So
This
on page 1.
To meet requirement for federal funding are feasible, likely to be completed on time and on budget.
Stacy, can you highlight what?
The second paragraph down.
Second paragraph under purpose A. Purpose.
Yeah, your
arm doesn't bend that way. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm not necessarily here to say rewrite it, don't rewrite it, but I think the council should be very strategic when it comes to anything that has to do with project selection and good estimates and good schedule. And, just start thinking about, you don't want to get yourself into a situation where you have a lot of projects on your tip again that are partially funded. So I think it's more of something for the group to think about.
That's not the point I'm making, Sanders. The point is, we're making
officers of Orange County Transportation Council, putting them in a position to evaluate the project, the proposed project, time of completion and budget. How would they know that?
Well, this is the overall thing, so it's not just us, it's going to the planning committee, which is like
No,
anyone can attend, so people can send their DPW folks. And
This is very cumbersome work to come up with the project timeline and project budget by the consultant. A lot of work goes into that.
Yep.
And then he comes in there and he puts it on your desk. And now you guys are gonna jump, and you're gonna evaluate, you and Sandra, and gonna evaluate that this is reasonable,
Well,
if this is achievable. Come on.
Jacob, I think we actually do that in a lot of, when we're reviewing Bridge New York applications, for example, one of the things that we're looking at is, if someone comes in, they haven't acquired a right away, and they said they're gonna complete it in a year and you use some federal funding, we just now, that's not gonna happen. Right, so, I think we're looking at a very cursory level, when we're reviewing and evaluating, and requesting, for the projects, but, at that, we don't have a crystal ball, so, but we inevitably, I think we will get applications that aren't well conceived, and, it's pretty obvious that, the project sponsor's not gonna be able to, complete the project in a timely manner, other, because of grossly underestimating the time that the project's going to take, and or that's just, on the budget.
Jacob's argument is that your staff doesn't have an engineer to second guess that other engineer's estimate.
but
So
we
it's
aren't,
gonna be second guessed by layman, and that's not gonna work. If somebody walks in, that location has an engineer signing off a cost estimate, that cost estimate is what you have to live by. Who's gonna be second guessing that unless you hire your own engineer and you do another cost estimate to verify that cost estimate is correct?
But I also think, to back up Jacob's argument, like, we're doing a sewer project right now. And we had all the estimates sent in to EFC for financing. Then we went out to bid, and the bids came in 20% higher than what the engineers projected the project was gonna cost. And that was the lowest bid, came in 20% higher.
and also
Sorry.
just to be crystal clear, this is not just OCTC staff looking at this. This is you guys or a tip subcommittee that's gonna make that determination, not just OCTC staff. It's a two-phase process. It goes through us and then it goes through you. And there are some engineers in the room. So
I think my point really was more of, not to disagree with your point. I mean, if you want to wordsmith it, I just think it's important that you're emphasizing, right? Not that you're going to come back and second guess anyone's work, but I think it's helpful. I think it's helpful that when you do call for projects or you have documents like this, that you're really encouraging and you have language that speaks to the best possible estimate and schedule that you have at that point in time. And I think then during the evaluation period, you're just looking for the major outliers, right? Not that you're questioning every application.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Sandra, it's not even possible for you to go and judge. Once I submit a proposal with the timeline and a cost estimate that I spend a lot of time putting it together, it's not feasible even for an engineer to come and take a look at it in 6 hours or even one day to say, no, this is not reasonable, because it depends how complicated the project is. It just, a lot of things go into it, and I think you're putting too much burden on the employees of Orange County Transportation Council who are doing that evaluation and coming back, say, City of Middletown, he said, no, you should be $2 million more.
Is the
No.
evaluation intended to be that detailed?
No.
Or is it more intended to be like somebody submits for a bridge and they have endangered species, they've got the ammonia, whatever, they're working with a railroad company they've got right of way issues, they have all these things that are like big red flags.
Sounds like it's never getting done.
And they're saying that it's gonna take 2 years, and like anybody that's been through the process knows that that's not a 2-year project.
Right, it's
Yeah.
just, general review like
That's-
that.
Yeah, that's fine, that's.
Just to weed out those type of projects where the red flag is very apparent. It's not, I don't think the idea is saying, is this a $2.3 million project versus a $2.6 million project?
Yes, that was what I'm talking about logic. Hey, you're taking the feasibility, are they likely to be completed on time and on budget? At the very preliminary stage when the project is born. It's impossible to judge that, that's what I'm saying is you can leave it, but you're buying too much burden, you're putting too much burden. On the council to make such a determination that it is likely for it to be completed on time and on budget. At the very beginning of the project. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore, you guys do.
I mean, it's a good discussion. I mean, I think that probably the most important part of what's added there is, we have to ensure that the project's eligible for funding. Right? Yeah, and that it's feasible gets into some of the issues that Travis just described. Those that, even though I'm not an engineer, have enough experience, I know,
That's only one, that's only one small aspect of what.
So if you take out the likely to be completed on time and on budget, the rest of the states, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm not worried about, worried about.
Okay.
The burden
Not up to me.
Within reasonable timeframes.
I think we can strike it there, and
Yes, as long
I
as,
think that. Said on the proper levels. So,
It's
Well-
unanimous.
okay.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
So. Your motion is just to strike after the word feasible, likely to be completed on time.
Right, yeah, just keep that, that's my suggestion.
There's, I don't know if I need a second on it, I will.
Second.
Next.
July 2nd.
Oh, yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Good discussion.
That's it, it's. The whole job, though.
I am not second guessing about this. Unless it's crazy one.
Of course, if it's solved.
Stacy, you wanna carry it?
Just flipping back through. Um. So in terms of moving forward with this, which we may get into a little bit later, but it's not on today's policy agenda. It could, well, we don't have the resolution, so it'll have to be finalized and put before you in April for adoption. Where are we? Oh, and this is related. We wanted to have a potential discussion of tip calls for projects, whether that's going to be one call with kind of multiple awards grouped by funding source or separate calls for projects for each one. Staff was looking at the funding. I don't know if you have that on there, Raina. She can bring it up, but we have about 7 million in off-system bridge funding, and there's another 2 in just plain STBG funding. I had emailed, I think, Sandra a few days ago on whether we could use the STBG large urban with the STBG off-system bridge, because I found a reg, there's something about 15% of that at the state level can be or up to another 15% besides the amount that's reserved for off-system bridge. So I don't know if that's possible in the grand scheme of things with just how NISDOT has things budgeted. But if we could, we could do a $9 million call for projects for off-system bridge instead of 7.
Yeah, no, I don't think those things are usually at the state level, Stacy, so you really need to stick to the funding source, its eligibility, and the numbers that you were provided.
Okay, so we can't combine those at all. So that would leave us with a $7 million potential call for projects for off-system bridge. And I don't know if you want to do 2 million for STBG large urban as well as a separate call, or just leave that for now.
Can you define off system bridge?
That,
What falls under that category?
and they sent Sandra and or Nicole, or maybe even Alexandra, I can't remember. And I think, actually, no, I think we forwarded it to all the members, a list of the bridges that qualify.
This is the list that's handed
It
out.
was,
Yeah.
no, it was emailed to us.
Yeah,
It was sent as an email.
maybe
Because I think I had, like,
December-ish? January,
not.
somewhere, was it? Okay.
Maybe even this month, it was recent.
It's not a hard and fast rule, but generally speaking, it's like non-federally eligible highways or roadways. But there are certain instances where,
But
It
you
could
have a
also-
specific list.
yes, there is a specific list, so you'll be able to see that for each municipality. So yeah, we could do one for the 7 million for the off-system bridge, and then whether or not you want to do one for STBG large urban, which only has 2 at this point. Or we could just put them in there and see what happens. And then CMAC, we have 8.5 million, and we have just tiny bits of CRP, like we would suggest maybe 0.4 million in CRP large urban and another 0.2 from medium urban. And that would give a $9.1 million call for projects for CMAC and CRP. The projects would have to meet whatever funding source they would be using. They'd have to meet eligibility for that. But that was another recommendation of staff. And then we have 3, I think it's 3.1 in HSIP funding, which is Highway Safety Improvements Program, which is a broad range of safety improvements that are eligible under that. So we need to do a call for projects for that because it's been sitting there a while and we need to spend it so it doesn't disappear. I don't know if anyone has any objections, thoughts.
So how does the committee feel about combining the CMAC with the carbon reduction program? I think it makes a great deal of sense. If there's similar uses for funding, and they'll give us some 9.1 million.
Didn't you just say we could?
Now that's up
Off system bridge, which is a separate line at the beginning. That's a standalone.
Okay.
All others, I believe, can be combined.
Yeah, CMAC and
the rest
CRP.
would call $200,000.
Yeah, you're right. That way too small.
Yeah.
Or if there's something very little, then
System bridge.
we just go to that.
Off system bridge.
There is
Sandra, you know what the match is on off system bridge?
Probably 20.
Fun.
I don't. I really don't. I mean, it's usually 80-20.
We can double check.
Yeah. Thank you.
With off system bridge email you sent this December 17th.
So yeah, that or January. So yeah, you can look at those and then
Looking for.
Mhm.
Let's go back to that call.
Yeah, so
We have a motion to combine.
I'll make
Making action to.
Nope.
Yeah. All those in favor, so. Thank you. Sometimes we're throwing so much at you, it's like, I realize, like, it's pretty overwhelming, so I'm just,
So the vote is for the 3 lines, CMAC, CRP, CRP. Okay, so we have 3 separate categories. One is the STBG at the top, then the OSB, then the 3 lines. 9.601. Yeah.
and then, last.
Sorry, Alan, until what year do we have to spend it by? I can't see.
2030.
30.
2031.
And then, as Stacy went over with the, highway safety improvement, program funding, there's 3 million, and we're also recommending all the projects for that. So it's- everyone okay with that?
The CMAC, all three are limited to the same state rules. That has to be, air quality,
Yeah, congestion, carbon
Okay.
reduction.
so whatever the rules are for CMAC are gonna be applied to the other two.
No, they'll each have their own separate rules and processes. They usually require like a separate screening by NISDOT.
But the three that we're combining,
We're sort of putting it all into one category for a call for projects, but
but the project could be eligible for CMAC and not for CRP.
possibly, it's probably
But then you
unlikely
can't
because the
combine.
programs are so, well, you can if it meets both. Yeah. Or if we
It's
have,
the HSIP, what are those requirements?
that is the Highway Safety Improvement Program, and also just FYI, FHWA recently changed their website, so any links you may have in the past to the fact sheets are all like send you to another separate page. So these are the new ones. We can email you guys a copy of the links to the latest fact sheets, but it's
Maybe at the, when you send a call for projects, you should
Oh,
send
yeah.
along the requirements for each project, so applicants are aware what they could be applying for.
absolutely, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
to be included. But yeah, there's just almost anything under the sun that's any kind of safety improvement can be done with HSIP.
And are we gonna set like maximum limits? For projects, or there's a possibility that one project will get all the money, and all other projects are.
If you get
Dropping
another,
out.
until you get one application. Gotta use the money, we lose them,
Yeah, but there may be multiple applications.
and we have to evaluate based on the state forecast.
Yeah.
So how much do we have in each slide, in each category, please? Is that just? Let's see.
STBG large urban, 2.165, STBG off system bridge, 7.1.
Oh.
Oh, thank you, now I got it.
Okay.
The fund didn't get bigger, it's only the fund. Bigger the fund, not the fund.
So, yeah, so it's actually, total 9.6. For the, when we combine the CMAC and CRP, large and medium cooking. So.
So you can set like one request for project, or it can be separate.
I don't
separate
know.
call for projects for each
Or if we want to stagger them,
Same deadline, same submission date.
I don't know if folks kind of have a sense of potential things they might apply for, if they prefer like staggered
But is it
calls
something
or
that the committee needs to decide, or that's gonna be decided by staff?
either. I mean, if the committee has strong thoughts on that, we can take it into account.
We haven't done a call for project for a while, so we need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, I would ask that we take this up, question up again in April.
Okay.
So we have new staff member coming on board. That's great. Given our staff resources, my preference would be stagger them a little bit. Just in terms of, so not having to deal with two types of applications that we do all. But yeah, I think we have time. We can make it to improve that. But we'll come back to the policy. We'll write us some recommendations. Stacy.
Do you want me to do new business or do you want to?
Talk about public meeting.
Doesn't, either way, guys, yep. It's me. It's me.
After you, please.
Thank you. All right, on to new business. We have the proposed tip amendment, OCTC 2602. This amendment will add to the tip the projects recently allocated to the Mid-Hudson Valley TMA 5307 funding. With the addition to the tip, Transit Orange staff can then begin submission of the grant request for this funding to the Federal Transit Administration. And
This is a county owned, even though you call it Monroe Village Parker Ride, this is a county owned Parker Ride.
no,
the Village of Monroe.
no, it's still
Oh, they-
Village Monroe. Yeah.
So they have applied?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
At the last meeting, this was brought up, the resolution back up, split up with funding at the TMA level, so this is formalizing, putting it on the tip.
So I would just ask for consensus to move this on to the policy board.
Yes.
Yes. So. West of Hudson Transit Study.
Said last time, if not, the money goes back to other counties, so this is basically a savior.
Yes, yes, yep. Want to keep that funding here.
Yeah.
Second item, new business, West of Hudson Transit Study. We were actually not aware of this study until we read it in the local news. And so we have reached out to DOT to learn more about the information that's and the scope of this study, whether it overlaps with our HUD-funded Orange and Rockland Dutchess Transportation Access and Mobility Study Project, or our UPWP-funded countywide transit feasibility study. If anyone in attendance is able to provide more information so that we can review the scope of work for these studies, that would be greatly appreciated. If not, as soon as we learn more information about the study, we will share that with the members and also review to see how it aligns.
You should be able to get some of the information from legislator packets. Right. We had it at the last legislature meeting.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We had a resolution
Thank
for it.
you. Yeah, yeah.
They should be able to get that. For
That's gonna be very helpful. We just want to make sure we're not moving in different directions and make sure the whole purpose of the MPO is to kind of coordinate regionally. So very
Alan, also along those lines, there was a previous study called the West of Hudson Regional Transportation Access Study, the Veritas, which was partially funded by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey and
okay.
in Metro North / New Jersey Transit, and that had 28 alternatives analyzed in regards to everything west of Hudson already. That was done.
Interesting. Okay.
And there's a whole website dedicated to that. It
Okay.
not only brought alternative routes for either bus or train to Stewart Airport, but it also gave alternatives for everything west of Hudson from Orange County towards New York City. So
Okay.
there was a study that was already done, so that's why it's very confusing, because it's very that name is very common. It was previously used. The regional aspect was put in it. The previous study, the regional name was taken out of this one. And
Okay.
and I think what is confusing about it all is the inclusion of the cargo line or the freight line service on the west of Hudson, which was historically been told in multiple analysis that passenger service can, by their covenant, can no longer happen on that line. So it would have to take a major change in, I don't want to say just legislation, in the actual operation of the actual line, where they have discontinued the allowance of passenger service on freight lines, on dedicated freight lines.
Okay.
So it's a little bit, there was a alternative that talked about that in the beginning of the Veritas study, but it was discontinued because of the lack of support for changing that, I'll say loosely legislation. It was
Okay.
more of a rule in the railroad industry. But if I was on that committee for a very
Oh,
long time.
okay. Okay.
And
the alternative that ended up winning as an alternative to study to the next level was the off-ramp on the thruway to New York State Route 207 for bus access only. Or not for passenger car service, but for bus access only to the county, specifically Stewart, but more importantly, additional park and ride and or additional stuff like that. So that was the alternative that won at that time. But it's probably 3 or 4 years old by now. But yeah, well, the final came out of 3 or 4 years ago. It started probably 15 years ago. It took 10 years to do that study.
Oh, my goodness.
They looked at all the property owners and everything. I mean, it was a very detailed analysis. AECom, I think was it.
I don't remember the consult. I think it started in 2008.
Yeah.
Oh, 2000, okay. Well, as soon as we learn more, we'll get that information out to our members, and we look forward to receiving the packet that also went to the legislature. So thank you for that.
I want to ask a general question, because we're talking about studies, so we're going to be voting in the next meeting on the study report that lists of multiple studies that's going to be done. There's certain projects that were spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and sometimes millions of dollars to study, and it never makes it to the finish line. The recommendations are there. It's well known what the recommendations are. Was a lot of money spent on the studies. Who takes the initiative to bring that project to the level of applying for funding? I'm referring specifically to a regional project that was studied for many years. I think it was called the Southwest Traffic Task Force that studied the Larkin Drive West project, connecting County Route 105 to the Forest Road Bridge to the State 208. Long study, full environmental engineering, fully designed. The county even submitted multiple grant applications under the Tiger program to get that project built and funded. Wasn't approved by Tiger. After trying twice and not getting funding for the project all of a sudden disappeared. But the need didn't disappear. The investment made by this committee over $1 million just for that project, this didn't disappear. And nobody is taking the initiative to the next step. I was even thinking whether or not in the selection process, projects that initiated with major investment and study, maybe that should get some extra points for being funded in the selection process. If not, the $1 million that you spent on studying a project and designing a project is wasted just because there's not a single municipality. It's not like in the village of Curtis Joel. This is a project that is going to be benefiting village of Monroe, town of Monroe, village of Curtis Joel, town of Blooming Grove. How people are going to be getting from one end to another. So even an application, no single municipality is going to be applying for funding because this is a project that entails multiple municipalities, already had major studies done and never materialized to the next step.
Your point's well taken. So I think for one of the things, I don't know if it occurred during that study, I'd have to go back and take a look at it, Catalia. But if we're going to get to the point of actually having a project implemented, somewhere in that study, there should be a project sponsor identified from my perspective. So whether that's the county or that state DOT, someone needs to be the lead to pursue it. I do understand that on projects of that magnitude, sometimes it may take decades to get all the right-of-way acquired. And then so you've done all the studies and over time, you've acquired all the right-of-way, and now it's time to take a fresh look at the project. I think.
But it's competing from like on the same level that a brand new project that had no federal investment in it. So it comes in with an application, but it's given no additional credits or points or recognition.
I guess that's it. UPWP, like this rubric that we were just talking about is for TIP, not UPWP.
Right.
But also that scoring matrix is more about just a quick evaluation of whether it's aligned with LRTP goals and how to meet them.